So Valcare is a non-profit company. We were established in 2003 by just a bunch of community members that felt that the way that things are currently in the world, or especially in our part of the world, is just not correct. And then it first started out as a network, in essence, a network for non-profits. So my background has always been within business and within finance and so on, and joined Valcare in 2017. And so for the last 5 or 6 years, almost 6 years now, we've built a platform that primarily focuses on building these two layers. A strong layer of non-profits that are capacitated and can become better at what they do, because we want all our investments to do better, and then also helping funders to be better at the decisions they make. So we've got a network of about 280 non-profits that's part of our network. We are growing a national footprint, and in the last 20 years, it's almost been 100 million that we've managed. Yeah, I don't always like that figure because it sounds very impressive, but I think the impressive part is that we can trace every single cent. And that might be very synonymous with business, but not specifically with nonprofits. We've been going for 20 years, and the origin part is significant in where we are at the moment, because local people took initiative. And I think that's quite critical. It was not by instruction, it was not by mandate, it was people getting together and saying, what we are seeing is not okay. That's now grown until, let's say, the Valcare 2.0, which happened in 2017, where we said that we need to add a layer because we've built strong foundations on network. Now let's add a layer to that. And then what happened is a lot of our core funders joined our board. So they were putting skin in the game, so physical money, but also serving and trying to guide the organization. Now this has been 6 years and most of them are still on the board. I think they were tired of things not functioning professionally, because they are all business people, quite successful business people, and successful families with multi-generational wealth and all of these sort of things. And then they are all generous. And I think that's not necessarily the problem. I think there's enough. There's 10.7 billion rand that gets spent every year in CSI in South Africa. So the money is not specifically the problem, or the generosity. The problem is, how does that get managed? And does that get to the right beneficiary? And how many layers of intermediaries do you have to go through to get to that point? Yeah, and I think the system is not helping us fully. There are more than 200,000 registered nonprofits. So you have this incredible amount of organizations trying to do good in the world. You've got money available, but there's inefficiency. And I think for businesses and people that steward money properly, to look at this system would not feel too comfortable to become part of it. And I think for us that was important, is to say we need to play that role. And looking within the health sector, I think is so critical. I don't think there's any industry in South Africa that's not touched by health. And for us to try and understand the nonprofits functioning within our network, working within the health sector, has been for us enlightening. Probably the most impactful was in the last 2 or 3 years, where after obviously the COVID pandemic, mental health has just risen so much to the fore. And we've got multiple organizations functioning in specifically mental health, but mental health focused on abuse, or focused in trauma, or focused with kids. And trying to understand that industry better has been an amazing experience for us to learn, but then also to empower and to enable them to be better. The need is much, much greater than we'll ever be able to, accommodate. We have a really great organization called Community Keepers. So they work within schools and establish a 3-year partnership with a school where they set up a classroom that's dedicated to therapy. They don't engage in schools if it's just short-term funding, so they have a long-term relationship with both the funder and the school. And then kids can come for therapy sessions ongoing. It creates a sense of trust, it creates a sense of security and so on. So they've been incredibly successful. There are north of 20, 30 schools that they're currently in. It's constant, and it's starting to help the teachers in that school. It's starting to help the community around that school. Yeah, so another example of physical health is Vision Box. So Vision Box is an organization that looks after affordable optometry services within communities. So they put down pretty much an optometry practice right in the center of a community. So you cut out all transport cost, which is usually an issue. And then you can get eye tests for as cheap as 50 Rand an eye test. But the quality of the product and the quality of the experience and the quality of the test, and it's a qualified optometrist, and all of that is world class. So we actually have a few people on our staff that support them. So that's quite critical. So it's a cool solution. It's a closed end so that it can fund itself and also actually be profitable in its model, but then solve a real issue. Yes, so social enterprises is definitely part of what we do. It's also a part of something we're exploring in the longer term from an investment point of view. So we have multiple nonprofits that also do their own small little enterprise components within them. Our office is also shared by entrepreneurs. So we have social impactful entrepreneurs that's in our space. And so we're trying to create that culture. So outside of just the normal profit motive, there's how do we make money by doing something that solves a real problem within community. So yeah, we love to engage with that. And to be honest, that's what's happening internationally. I went to my first board meeting, very excited about my pie charts and spreadsheets, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to show the funders that I'm really managing their funds well. End of the meeting, one of our board members, who's also, was the founding member of our organization, looked at me and she said, "Thank you, Ivan. We can see that you're managing the funds well, but tell me a story." And I couldn't get a story. And I felt so silly that I couldn't share the story of part of our membership that did amazing things. We've learned a lot since then. So luckily, all our annual reports now is always written with a story and with a number. So we're always trying to marry the two. And I think it makes for, easier reading, but also it's just a much better way to look at things. I think what is critical to be able to address anything, but specifically health, is to have a very clear vision of what you want to do. I think from our perspective, the most impactful, both organizations and funders, are the ones that have a very specific aim. And I think once you have that, to find the tools and partners and people to come along with the journey becomes a lot easier. So I think that's quite critical. Collaboration is a word we use all the time, but it's actually no longer an option. Organizations that don't collaborate cannot remotely have the impact that you can have by taking it. So I think it's not even negotiable anymore. It's almost something we don't even have to talk about. Even within our systems, the way that we think about funding is we will not fund organizations that only want to do their own thing. It will always be in how do we maximize the return of that nonprofit working with other nonprofits. And the best partners are the ones that give freely without expecting anything in return. And that should be the same within the funder side.